sorry, I keep forgetting, you are the English. Thou art the English. Well, as you can see, I am Amish, and there's a lot of talk of immigration these days and people with their family trees and genealogy and so forth. My European ancestors came over here from Holland and landed in Pennsylvania in 1640, and that's a long time ago. And there was a father and his 3 sons. Now they got free passage because their expertise was metal and horses. And so anyway, I'm not sure the boys, the 3 brothers, eventually married Native Americans. So we started off our family tree with 3 pretty little Indian girls. And I don't know how the Indians got over here, really, because after Noah's short boat trip, but it must have been a big canoe, that's all I can say. Well, I'm not as Amish as I used to be, and certainly not as Amish as my ancestors. Why, sometimes I stay in bed till 6 a.m. And at the bottom of my sock drawer, I've got colored socks. And also pictures of women without bonnets. Boy, oh boy, I tell you. The only reason I remain Amish is that I can't spell Presbyterian. P-R-Y-R. There was a cousin of mine, 3rd cousin, also Amish, that was killed in an accident about a year ago. It was very sad, and he had the same name as mine. Yes, it's something to do with the Amish. And anyway, when our names, they were the same as mine, and when the names appeared in the obituaries, I had a lot of people call me to see if I was truly dead. Can you imagine that? They seemed disappointed. Why? Anyway, I brought my niece over here tonight because there's a group of ladies, very generous ladies, that make quilts, and they make them out of Pioneer Land out at the fairgrounds. You've probably been out there. So anyway, I brought her out, and Pioneer Land was established, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. It started out, I think, with a blacksmith shop, and then there was a barn, and then there was a schoolhouse, and just most recently, they built a quilting cabin. That's pretty neat. It's bright, and it's warm for the ladies, and it keeps the rain off their heads, and, you know, like that. So anyway, and to go out there is just kind of like stepping back into history. And so anyway, I brought my niece, who's also Amish, and I thought she could probably meet them and do some quilting and just talk with them. And you wouldn't believe what these ladies talk about. So anyway, I dropped her off tonight, and the rest of the story goes something like this.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Nancy.
Well, Sarah, these are the Pioneer Land Quilters, and we meet out here, and we get together, and, you know, we think we're pretty special, but, you know, some of the folks in Pioneer Land on the north side of the road, they like to refer to this group as a bunch of old wet ends.
That isn't what Dick Real calls us. He calls us the painted hussies. Yeah, and then he said, this is the painted hussy saloon.
Yep, he even had that sign made over it. It's over there by Agnes.
Yep, here it is, right where he left it.
Well, I don't know why we put up with that man all this time, but that's another story. Before we get started, though, and I forget everything I know, I need to introduce my cousin Sarah. She's my second cousin. She's Amish on my mother's side, and she's come here today to observe how we do quilting, and we want to learn from her also. So let me introduce these ladies. This is Linda, Darla, Carol, Ruth, Lois, Joni, Agnes, Queenie, and Tara.
Hi, Sarah. Good nobbin. God bless you. Good nobbin. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies. Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me to join me this afternoon in your quilting cabin. This is a very nice quilt frame. Which of thy husbands made it?
Oh,
We bought it.
Oh.
Well, husbands don't make much in our circles, Sarah.
Oh, now, wait a minute. We have a few that make a lot of mess, but
Yeah, that's
we're not
true.
going to name any names.
Well, I have some interesting news, girls.
No, really? You always seem to have interesting news, but not necessarily about quilting most of the time.
Let the woman talk. Let her talk. She always has some juicy gossip to spread.
Oh, gossip. We'd never gossip.
No, just pick a little, talk a little. Pick a little, talk a little. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Talk a lot and pick a little more.
Just remember, girls, whatever is said at the quilt frame
Stays at the quilt frame.
It is pretty much the same in our community also.
You know what, girls? You know that word gossiping? You know how it started?
No.
With the men, of course.
Oh,
Yeah. They went down to the local pub and got a pint of ale, listened to all the news that was coming around. They finished their ale, went on to the next one, got another pint of ale, and told what they'd heard the first one. But I think that they started with go-sipping, and we kind of changed it to gossiping.
Well, you guys are just jealous. Just because Joni's the only one that is single in the group and still has a life, you all want to live vicariously through her exploits.
Well, you know, Agnes is single too.
Really? You see, Agnes is 75 years old, too, Joey.
I'm right here, you know. I was young once, too. I had exploits. Really? Abner's been gone now these 15 years. And even though I live alone, I don't like it. Why, if I could find a nice gentleman at the right age, say anything under the age of 80, as long as he has a regular bowel movement.
What if the movements were involuntary? And what if it was maybe 50, Agnes?
Or maybe 40.
Would he still have to be interested in quilting?
Just as long as his needle was still sharp.
And his thread is long enough.
You know, if he's funny, he could keep you in stitches.
Where are you going to get a man that does good work on a quilt, Agnes?
Or under the quilt.
Or between the sheets. You just have to have the right incentives.
Okay, girls, stop this. We always seem to end up talking about sex, and we've got a visitor here, for heaven's sake.
We know we Amish do know about sex. We're surrounded by animals, and you can't hide that. You know, it's just a little too difficult to hide.
True. Okay.
But I can tell you an Amish joke if you'd like.
Okay.
Yes. What doeth it take to keep an Amish woman happy?
What?
2 men a night.
There we go again.
Of course, that is just a joke. Amish would never do such a thing.
Well, yes, besides, we were just talking about quilting. Girl.
Oh, yes, sure. Whatever you say.
Well, if you say so, Agnes.
Of course, it is just difficult to think of fine, upstanding Amish having anything to do with sex.
Well, we don't do it standing up very much.
That's good.
speak up, girl, we want to hear it.
Okay, well, remember that we talked about writing to the quilting magazine? You know, to see if we can get an article all about us and all our quilts in it.
And some pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pictures of just the quilts or us too?
Oh, we Amish do not like to have our picture taken.
Any part of you, Sarah, or just your face?
Mostly our face, or the front of us. But we Amish look pretty much the same from the back.
Hey, you know, we all talked about doing that, writing to the newspaper and everything, but nobody ever did anything about it.
Well, so what about it?
Well, I actually did something.
Really?
I did. I sent a letter to the editor of the magazine, and she wrote back and said that they were considering sending someone out to look at our quilts.
Really?
Write about an article about us, you know,
Really?
take some pictures to be in the magazine. But, you know, with the economy the way it is, they can't afford to pay for food and lodging for this reporter. So, you know, if we can put up the reporter for a few days and feed her, they will see what they can do at the end of the month. What should I tell that editor?
I don't know. What do you think, girls? Can we trust somebody from the big city? We don't know her. We're gonna have a stranger in our house, eat with us. You know what? My mom's staying with me. I don't have any room.
Suits you.
I live in a retirement home in an efficiency apartment. I don't have room for another person.
Well, you all know my husband, Herb. Well, he's pretty gassy, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if he were to cut one when somebody was there, those fumes could blind you. That's the truth.
Yes, I've been there.
Okay, here it is. I have a room at my house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and if you'll all come over and help me clean out my spare room for her, and set up a day bed.
I will help thee. I'm strong and healthy, and I have good teeth.
Okay, girls, all in favor? Aye. Okay, here's
Nice
a local
job,
hotel motel for this guy.
Okay, did you hear about the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Somebody bought it, and they want to turn it into a hotel? And guess what they're going to call it?
What?
The Tilton Hilton.
Oh.
Isn't that awful? What a
You know, this is gonna be real exciting to have a national reporter and photographer in our little town.
Oh, darling, we have reporters, we have photographers in our town.
Oh yeah, they're for the local newspaper. They're born here, they're just like us. They're not exciting.
Joni, what's this reporter's name?
Pat. Pat O'Connor from Chicago.
Ooh.
An Irish lass.
I thought all the Irish was from New York. Oh, well, we won't hold that against her.
No. You know what, girls? I've been studying new pattern for making a new quilt.
Really?
Yeah?
Really?
Well, it's a pattern called whoop-de-doo. All righty then. It has a lot of loops and hoops, and it goes over and under. Sounds pretty good, like Celtic work, really.
Oh, it sounds sensual. Do you think it's more like circles or snakes?
No, not like snakes. Ooh, no snakes, no snakes. They're too reptilian. No.
Hey, how'd you all get involved in quilting in the first place anyway?
Well, I took some classes about 10 years ago after my youngest daughter left home. You know, just me and Herb again. And I had to have something to do more than just play with Herb. So I took classes, and here I am.